Hello everyone, Sphero, and this is my starting guide on Feed the Beast. Feed the Beast, for those who do not know, is but mod pack filled with mostly technical mods right now, although Thaumcraft 3 and Equivalent Exchange will be in it when it's updated. But it has full support of all mod developers. So unlike Technic or Tekkit, where, well, even based off just by having Optifine in it, you should know that it does not have support. It is theft. Technic is technically theft in that it's someone else's intellectual property being stolen, but at the same time it's a gray area, so enough about that. This is not about that. This is about the 3 pathways that you can take for getting the most out of your ore in Feed the Beast. Now, this one is going to be about factorization. Now, factorization is a somewhat little known mod, but has a lot of interesting mechanics. And the main reason to use this over any other form is that factorization is the most cost to get started up with, but it also provides the most gain. It gives you a significant amount of clay, which once Equivalent Exchange and Thaumcraft are done is really valuable, and it gets you triple your ore. So Macerator or Pulverizer or whatever, that will give you double. Factorization gives you triple. The downside, aside from the cost, is that factorization does take a fair bit of effort to set up. It is somewhat difficult to automate. As you can see over there, I set up multiple systems showing different ways to automate it. And while factorization itself has its own form of automation, that again is costly. It is definitely a mod to only play if you are comfortable with everything else in Feed the Beast, or at least comfortable with enough mods to get by. This is not a beginner mod, okay? Now, right away, first off, oops, I have a timer in here. Right away, there are 2 items you should be aware of. This is a slag furnace. A slag furnace is 2 furnaces and 6 cobblestone. Now, a slag furnace will cook stuff. It will cook stuff for half fuel, or double fuel, sorry. So a piece of coal or charcoal will cook 8 items. A slag furnace will cook 4. So yes, you could use lava to cook it, and you get 50 items out of it. But I don't recommend that for 2 reasons. First off, lava is actually kind of valuable if you take into account the other mods. Second is that you might overflow and then end up losing stuff. Oh, actually, that would be 3 reasons then. Because the third reason is that it is quick enough to get something really cool to make fuel costs not a problem. Now, you would use this because, see these 2 slots? This allows for the main output, which for iron, iron or whatever, or for its silver, which would be... Okay. For silver, which would be lead. Lead is a lot more important than silver in this mod, and this is the main way to get it. So, see, you get lead from it and silver. Normally the secondary item, so from stone from iron, copper, or tin would go in here, but I don't know why it does that the other way around with this. Anyways, you really should use this, even if you don't plan on using factorization, because the slag furnace has a benefit where there is a small chance, I think around 30%, to double what you cook in it. It is, kind of nice. I mean, it's not needed, but whatever. A cool little item. The second item that is right away is that I actually forgot about in setting this up because it's so basic. It is a pocket crafting table. So yes, it's a waffle stick. What you do is you press default is C to open it like this, or you right click it with the inventory. And as you can see, it lets you craft in these slots. These are your actual inventory slots. So if I were to say do this and have items in here, if I didn't have room to put it elsewhere, I could not craft anything in there. Now there is a way around it with factorization called the bag of holding, which basically it will suck up items in the slot, in whatever slot comes after it. It takes a significant amount of upgrades to the bag of holding in order to make up for pocket crafting tables using this. So I won't get into it because the upgrades and actually doing it are really expensive and really advanced, not part of a starting guide. Anyways, after that, there's also these barrels. Barrels, without the extra dimensional upgrade, which makes it look like this, can hold 64 stacks of one item. With the extra dimensional upgrade, it can hold quite a bit more. See right here, this is a router putting cobble automatically into here. That's 633 stacks and 45, 46. I think the maximum is 1024 with the extra dimensional upgrade. So a good item. And barrels are made like this. See, 7 logs. Sorry for anyone who is colorblind, but I can't really do anything about this. Anyways, this is 7 logs of any vanilla kind, so oak, birch, jungle, and then a slab. Once again, of any vanilla kind, so oak, birch, jungle. Or spruce, of course. It should eventually work with mod trees, but that's not part of it right now. So, yeah. Anyways, onto this. Now, in order to deal with that the slag furnace taking a lot of fuel, you get this cool little item. This is a furnace heater, which takes the electricity, which I will go into next, and uses it to heat any furnace or slag furnace connected to it. So if I were to take some ore from there and put it in here, thanks to the heater, it will do that, and it'll do that. Since the only methods of making power in factorization right now are this totally renewable source, it is definitely a good item to make. You do not technically need any of these wires or the batteries or anything in order to power this. You could just put this turbine, whoa, sorry about that. You could put this turbine, once it's set up, right next to this and it would power it. But you will want to move it eventually. And speaking of power, and the furnace heater is made like so as soon as I find the recipe. Okay, the furnace heater is made that's odd. I know I made a plan for that, whatever. The furnace heater is made like so, with insulated coils and lead. Insulated coils, now this one I do actually know I have, is right about here. insulated coil is lead ingots around a clay block. So yes, you will use a lot of lead in this and a fair amount of clay. The clay is not much of a problem because you will get clay as a byproduct of processing. Anyways, for storing power, you get this battery block. There is no way to access it, so it's just something you place. You can't do anything. Same with the furnace heater. And when you craft it, let's see, where is the recipe? Yes, the battery block is iron and lead. So 4 iron, 4 lead, and a sulfur or sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is made either with a water bottle, a piece of coal, and 2 gunpowder, or a water bottle, a piece of sulfur. That's sulfur, not gunpowder. The sulfur is an actual item, and coal. It is a bit important later on as well, but on crafting a battery block, it comes fully charged. Let's see, where did I put it? Yeah, on crafting it, it comes, it doesn't show. It comes fully charged, so you could actually craft that without a turbine and use that to power something for a while. You can, and really quickly on transferring power, you have to use the lead wires. There are no other wires, so once again, a lot more lead is used. See, lead wire is just 3 lead like that. It can be placed on any surface, so sides, upside down, and on top of itself. So it is it's a really nicely designed wire. And as far as I know, the power loss is minimal, so you could go like around 20 or so blocks without noticing anything. Now, that's the battery block, that's the lead wire, that's the furnace, or furnace and furnace heater. Power generation. A solar turbine is interesting. First off, you have to have a water source, infinite water source like this under it, because it will occasionally consume water. Second, you have to have reflective mirrors. It can be powered off just one, or actually I think it could be done with none, but the power is not able to be used for anything. At least one is needed to get it spinning right, and you can tell when it's placed right because each mirror will turn if there's something in range and face whatever it could work with. This is basically the maximum amount of mirrors that could be used to power something, but it's totally unneeded because all the machines do not use much power anyways. Now, a reflective mirror is made like this. This is what silver is used for. It's 8 silver and 1 glass pane. It's glass pane, not glass. The solar turbine is 7 glass, a fan, and a motor. The fans and motors, let's see, fan is 5 iron ingots, just right like that, and then a motor is, once again, 2 lead, 2 iron, 4 insulated coils, which is the clay and lead, and iron, and a magnet. And a magnet is this. That's 7 lead wire, an iron ingot, and a battery block. So really complicated to make, a little costly in terms of iron and lead, but as I said, you don't actually need many mirrors for it. I could probably do 4 mirrors and it would power this little setup here. That massive setup right there, I could probably even use maybe 10 because power usage is not a problem. It probably will be later on as the mod is worked on, but as of right now, power drain is really, really small. So anyways, that's powering, that's this. that's powering the slag furnace and the heater. So processing. This is where things get even trickier. First step is a grinder. Grinder has to have power, and this turns any ore into it, or any copper, tin, lead. No, not lead. Copper, tin, silver, gold, iron, and that's it. It takes any of those and turns it into dirty gravel. The dirty gravel since it's a periodic doubling, it's maybe 140% bonus already. So this grinder is the most important machine to make to get to advanced ore processing. Unfortunately, the grinder is also the most difficult item to start off with, because the grinder takes the diamond cutting head along with 5 iron, 2 lead, a motor, but the diamond cutting head is the difficult part. Let's see, the diamond cutting head is right here. Diamond cutting head is 8 iron shards around an iron ingot, or diamond shards around an iron ingot. Diamond shards are obtained in an interesting fashion. You have to craft this craft packet in, let's see, in the crafting table using let's see. Yeah, you use a crafting table for once. This is the only craft packet that requires a crafting table. Here we go. It's 4 TNT, 4 obsidian, and a block of diamond. The block of diamond is what makes this so hard, of course. So anyways, once you have it crafted in the table, you use a stamper. And after a cool effect, there's a miniature explosion effect with it, you get 18 shards. So yes, it's expensive to start with, but because you get so many shards, it's not too big of a problem. It kind of makes up for it. The craft packet stamper, as you just saw, is part of Factorization's auto crafting. What you do is you use a craft packet maker, which is this. It's cobblestone, a piston, and a crafting table. And you stick, oops, that's a packager. You stick paper in here. You stick the item you want, like say this, in here, and select where it goes. Then it can only do one item at a time to start with. If it's an unfinished recipe, then it will turn into one of these yellow things. You then take that out, put the yellow, I think it's the unfinished blueprint or something, into there, then put the second item, and then clear that, and then place how you want it, and then it will make a full blueprint. It does consume the items as like a storage thing, and it will consume a blueprint in order to make it in the maker. So it's not free items, and it's a lot more complicated automatic crafting than BuildCraft, but I like it. The maker, which you saw for that, by the way, is, sorry, the stamper, which you saw for making it, is this right here. That's iron cobble, so still kind of cheap. Now, one more thing is you can combine those together to make a packager. The packager is cobble along with the stamper and maker. What this is any item put into here, it will attempt to craft first into the 2x2 grid and then into a 3x3 grid. This means you can automatically make clay blocks or ingot blocks, unless you have greg tech, really easily. It's a little slow, so you want multiple, but it's still handy, especially with the amount of clay you get from this. And yeah, as you can see, 639. Okay. Anyways, I've explained the grinder and going on to it. Next is the mixer. The mixer cleans the dirty gravel. It requires a water bucket in it, so you need, for automating it, an automatic empty bucket taker and bucket filler. Routers work fine, as I've shown. I would actually recommend Red Power for that, just because that is so much easier than everything. But the mixer is made like this. It's a fan, a motor, 2 water buckets, 2 lead, and a cauldron. This also requires power, so lead wires. You don't have to use wires because the same with Red Power, it should freely transmit power between all machines. I've noticed it to be slightly buggy with that, but that might be just me. Anyways, the mixer turns it into clean chunks. And it gives you sludge as a byproduct. Sludge can be cooked in a furnace for clay, and that's really how you get the excess of it. You'll wind up with a huge amount of clay from this. Anyways, after that, you put... That should be... No, not quite. After that, you stick it in this, the slag furnace. That is where it comes to use. The clean chunk will be cooked into reduced chunks at double. So both these will fill with reduced chunks. At that point, you could actually stop and be getting double what you put in anyways. But that's not fun. That's not the full thing. So after it goes into the slag furnace to make a reduced chunk, you get this. This is the crystallizer. By keeping the sulfuric acid in here, sulfuric acid is needed for this. It is not used up though, so don't go making a ton of it. As long as you keep the sulfuric acid in here, it will stay there and keep working, so it's very handy. Anyways, the crystallizer is accessed from the sides normally, and it will fill and Buildcraft pipes will fill each item one at a time, but for some reason put stuff into here fairly quickly, like I think at 3. That makes the crystallizer really hard to automate. I've shown a couple workarounds, but truthfully, they don't work perfectly. The best way, in my opinion, would be to use either one router for each. So one of these routers for each slot, because I can specify which slot to put in. And otherwise, if you don't have the resources for a router, computer craft turtles. Anyways, after 20 minutes, so yes, this takes a long time, and this is the worst part of this. After 20 minutes, you will get a crystalline, ore block. Or not ore block, just a crystalline ingot. Once you cook that crystalline ingot, it is the finished product that will give you the ingot. That concludes getting 3 times your ingots for 1 ore. So, Factorization is a really cool mod, but complicated at times. You can easily automate it with the router, but that's not part of this. I will show off a few more items, and then that's it. First off is the Wrath Lamp. Wrath Lamp is dark iron, silver, glass pane, and the Wrath Igniter. The Wrath Lamp lights up to 9 blocks away and 30 blocks down. So if you ever have a dark ravine and you're tired of spamming torches all over, this is the thing to place at the top. Now the Wrath Igniter for that is an interesting item. First off, you have to use the Wrath Igniter to make dark iron. So that's another brick and a diamond shard. Anyways, to make dark iron with the igniter, you actually place an iron block on the ground. So let me get it. Okay. So you place an iron block on the ground. Let's go over here in this area that I had to fail. And let's see. You can actually make a structure in the world called a wrath furnace to do this, using nether brick and netherrack, I believe. And it does work well-ish, but it doesn't serve much point since you can just do this and be fine for ages. Now, Wrathfire is very dangerous stuff. It is a huge griefing tool, but since it's required, disabling this is not exactly an option. What Wrathfire does is Wrathfire itself is an instant kill on anything. It will transmute any item that can be transmuted, so if I did that to cobblestone, it will turn into smooth stone. Problem is, it will also it will spread to any nearby objects. So if I used Wrathfire on this dirt, this whole world would be just totally gone. That does mean that using it on a desert or a jungle is really cool, but yeah, it's a very dangerous item. And yeah, anyways, once that is done and like that, and you put out the fire that spreads from it, you pick up the dark iron blocks and just put it in your inventory for 4 dark iron. So, kind of easy process, and good to use diamond shards on since you get 18 and you don't need nearly that many for that. Crafting the Wrath Igniter with the Wrath Igniter or lighting stuff will use up some durability, but not too much. So one lasts quite a while, and it will last even longer if you do the whole furnace thing that I've heard about. I do not know how to do that, and as it's a fairly advanced item, and this is not the advanced option. This is just getting started. That's about it. So, solar turbine, battery box, lead wires, furnace heater to make furnaces use no fuel, to grinder to turn stuff into gravel, mixer to turn into clean gravel, furnace heater powering a slag furnace so it doesn't use up all your fuel, and that gets you double, the crystallizer for 20 minutes, and then gets you triple your ore. And once it's crystallized, you cook it once more, and there you go, triple your ingots. And I think that's it. So that was hopefully a helpful guide on Factorization's basic stuff. Until next time, bye.